Are you also struggling staying consistent on your weight loss journey? Even though losing weight might be your biggest dream, it can feel incredibly hard to achieve. For years, no matter what I tried, I just couldn't lose weight. But when I started approaching weight loss from a different angle, I've been able to lose over 17 kilos in less than 4 months. One of the biggest mindset shifts that helped me came from the book Atomic Habits. That's why I'm going to share 5 practical strategies that made my success possible, and I know it can do the same for you too. Why do habits even matter? Willpower fades and motivation comes and goes. Therefore, you have to stop counting on something that is unreliable in order for you to reach your goal. Habits work the best because they don't rely on how you feel. Once built, they run on autopilot and carry you forward no matter what. In the book, James Clear says, "Success is the product of daily habits, not once-in-a-lifetime transformations." How do you expect to lose weight if you keep repeating the same habits that made you stuck in the first place? Exactly, you can't. That's why we need to replace them with the ones that support change. So let's start with the first strategy. Understand the power of small changes. The reason you keep falling back into the same habits isn't because you're lazy, and it definitely isn't because you don't want to change. It's because you've been using the wrong system for change. James Clear puts it perfectly. Atomic habits are the building blocks of remarkable results. But what does that really mean? Think of an atom. It's one of the smallest units in the universe. You can't even see it, yet it's the foundation of everything. Atomic Habits has a similar idea. It's a small behavior that doesn't even seem to have any effect at first, but if repeated consistently, it will slowly build your future. Therefore, the actions you take today are exactly what determine where you will be a year from now, or 5, or even 10 years from now. You see, we often think that success means making big, dramatic changes, but really, it comes from small things that are done consistently. Think about it. No one loses weight after one intense workout or transforms their health after one perfect day of eating. Going from 0 to 100 just like that isn't just unrealistic. It's impossible. So what is it that you need to reach that goal of yours? You need a simple set of small habits that challenge you just enough but still feel manageable, so you will actually stick with them every single day. And yes, every day. Because when it comes to habit formation, consistency is everything. Strategy number 2 focuses on identity. Whether you know it or not, every behavior change follows a structure, and that happens on 3 levels. And if you apply all of them, the stronger and more automatic your habits become. Those 3 layers of behavior change are outcomes, processes, and identity. Most people focus only on the first 2, but the deepest and most powerful change actually starts with identity. You can't stick to new habits while clinging to an old you. If deep down you still see yourself as someone who always quits, or someone who can't stick to diet, or someone who hates exercise, your brain will pull you back into that reality every time. Therefore, if you want to change your life, you have to change your self-concept. You need to start believing that you are the kind of person who lives a healthy lifestyle. Even if you're not fully there yet, you can trick your brain into believing it. When something you want in life becomes a part of who you are, that is when your behavior will naturally change, because you want to live up to the identity you set for yourself. You practice healthy habits not because someone told you to, but because you chose to, because this is simply who you are now. Strategy number 3 backs that new identity with action. To truly change your habits, you need to combine all 3 levels of behavior change. We have already talked about how identity is the deepest and most powerful layer, but it sits at the bottom for a reason. You can't fully step into a new identity if you don't know where you are going or how you will get there. That's why all 3 layers matter, and we need to build them from the top down. So if you don't have a goal yet, set one now. Don't keep it vague. Get specific and realistic. This way you will give your brain a clear target. After you have a goal, you next need the how. So what will you actually do to get there? Well, there are quite many things you could do. But just as we discussed, it has to be intentional and small enough so you will actually stick with it. And finally, how to make the habits you want to improve automatic. That's exactly what strategy number 4 is all about. But before we dive in, I want to remind you, I'm not gonna give you some rigid one-size-fits-all plan, because that doesn't work in the long run, and deep down you know that. For example, what has worked for me might not work the same way for you. Therefore, I really want to take the time to prepare these videos well, so that I can teach you how these things actually work and give you the tools so you can build up systems that fit your lifestyle, your values, and your energy. So if you find these videos valuable, I would truly appreciate it if you would give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much. Strategy number 4, make habits stick. Master the 4 laws of behavior change. James Clear explains that every habit, whether bad or good, forms and gets stronger through a continuous feedback loop. Cue, craving, response, and reward. To understand how this works, here's an example I think many of us can relate to. You come home from school or work feeling tired. You want comfort or a quick energy boost. You grab a bag of chips or a chocolate bar, crash on the couch and put on TV or start scrolling on social media. As a reward, you feel a short burst of relief or satisfaction. The more you repeat this loop, the more automatic your habit becomes. You don't think about it, you just do it. And before you even realize it, it's a habit. Therefore, the key to building good habits is to take control of this loop. James Clear breaks this down into 4 simple laws that determine whether a habit will stick or not. Law number 1 is make it obvious. Law number 2 is make it attractive. Law number 3 is make it easy. And law number 4 is make it satisfying. You can apply all these 4 laws to build good habits or reverse them to break bad ones. So let's go through the most important ideas from each law, starting with the first one, make it obvious. Remember the continuous feedback loop we just talked about? It always starts with a cue, something that triggers the habit itself. The most common cues are time and location. So to make a habit work, say exactly what will you do, when and where by using this formula. I will behavior at time in this location. Here's a bad example. I will eat healthier. Here's a good example. I will prepare a healthy lunch the day before at 6 p.m. in my kitchen. Another great way to build a new habit is through habit stacking, which means linking your new habit to something you already do every day. After current habit, I will new habit. Here's an example. After waking up, I will drink a big glass of water. You can also chain habits together into a little routine. After brushing my teeth, I will take a cold shower, then do my morning stretch before I check social media. When you practice this chain daily, it starts to feel like a natural ritual. One big thing, according to James Clear, is your environment. He says, environment is the invisible hand that shapes human behavior. Sticking to good habits is really hard when your environment is constantly pulling you in the opposite direction. Therefore, try to keep your spaces clean and set out cues for the habits you want to build. For example, if you want to exercise more, lay out your mat, workout clothes and shoes where you can't miss them. Want to drink more water? Then keep filled water bottles in places you will see them. You might not think about them consciously, but your brain still picks up the cues. And if you want to break a bad habit, you need to do the opposite. Make it invisible. You can only rely on self-control in the short term, so it's better to remove the temptation completely. For example, if you want to lose weight, hide junk food in a place you can't see. Or even better, don't keep it in your house or buy it at all if possible. Now let's move on to law number 2. Make it attractive. Motivation comes from expecting a reward. The more enjoyable or rewarding a habit feels, the more likely you are to stick with it. This happens because of dopamine, a brain chemical that drives motivation. What's interesting about dopamine is that it spikes not only when you get a reward, but also also when you expect one. That's why just seeing junk food makes you crave it, because your brain is anticipating the pleasure it gets from it. The problem here is that habits like eating junk food or scrolling social media give huge dopamine hits, making them very hard to simply just quit. The solution is to use a strategy called temptation bundling. Make healthy habits attractive by pairing them with something you enjoy. For example, after you work out, you can watch your favorite TV show. You see, suddenly you're looking forward to the workout because it's tied to a reward you actually want. You can also train your brain to enjoy healthy habits by focusing on the benefits instead of the discomfort. Instead of thinking, I hate working out, it's so tiring and makes my body ache, try thinking, every workout burns fat, builds strength, and boosts my confidence. This simple mindset shift connects the habit to a positive feeling, making it way easier to keep going. When breaking bad habits, flip the strategy. Make them less attractive by focusing on the downsides. For example, instead of seeing junk food as a nice and quick treat, remind yourself that it can slow down your progress. It doesn't have to be completely forbidden, but choosing to enjoy it when it fits your plan gives you back the control to decide. Now let's tackle law number 3. Make it easy. How long does it take to form a new habit? Actually, it's not about time, it's about repetitions, which is exactly the reason why consistency is so important. The easier the habit is, the more likely you are to do it. Isn't it right that if something takes too much effort, we usually don't even want to start? That's why you need to reduce friction for your good habits and increase friction for your bad ones. So let's start with the good ones first. If you want to go to the gym, choose one that's close to your home, work, or school, so it's always on your way. That way you are more likely to go because you don't have to drive extra to get there. This reduces friction. Another example, if you want to eat healthier, prepare meals or snacks in advance, so you are not scrambling when hunger strikes. One of the best ways to keep habits small and simple at the start is to follow the 2-minute rule. Don't aim for a 1-hour workout right away. Instead, begin with something as simple as 2 minutes of stretching or a short walk. And instead of telling yourself to meal prep for the whole week, just wash and chop up some vegetables so cooking later is faster. This, for example, has saved me a lot of time to prepare healthier meals daily. Once you start with something easy, you will often feel like continuing, and then you can naturally scale up. Maybe after a month or so, cooking 3 days worth of meals feels totally doable. When it comes to breaking bad habits, again, do the exact opposite. Make them difficult. If you want to order less takeout, delete the apps or log out, so you have to re-enter all your details next time you feel like ordering, which means it will make you think twice whether to go through the trouble or not. The more inconvenient the bad habit is, the less you will do it and the faster it will fade away. Now let's talk about the fourth and the last law. Make it satisfying. While the first 3 laws help you practice the habit this time, the 4th law is what makes you want to do it the next time. Your brain loves to repeat behaviors that feel good. As James Clear says, what is immediately rewarded is repeated. What is immediately punished is avoided. The tricky part is that most good habits have delayed rewards and can feel quite hard at the beginning. Eating healthy for a week won't suddenly transform your body, and hitting the gym once won't give you six-pack. Meanwhile, bad habits most often feel very satisfying right away. For example, both eating junk food and hitting snooze feels great at the moment. That mismatch is why it's so much easier to stick with bad habits than to maintain good ones. So, the goal here is to give the habit you want to keep, like exercising and eating healthy, a little instant reward. Something small that makes you think, yes, this was absolutely worth it. mindset. For example, use a habit tracker and after a workout tick it off so you will get that satisfying visual proof of progress. You can also pair the healthy habit with something you enjoy, like listening to your favorite podcast while walking or watching an episode of your favorite TV show after meal prepping. And as you've probably guessed, the reverse also works. You can make your bad habits unsatisfying by adding a small immediate pain to them, so your brain starts associating them with discomfort instead of pleasure. For example, tell a friend, "If I skip my workout, I owe you €5. In short, the point here is to make the habits you want to keep feel good now and the habits you want to quit feel bad now. When your brain starts associating good habits with satisfaction, sticking to your goal gets a whole lot easier. We have now reached the end of our fourth strategy, covering everything you need to know about building better habits. The fifth and the final strategy will help put everything we have talked about into perspective. Resilience over perfection. Even if you apply every strategy perfectly, life will still throw you curveballs. You might get sick, have a stressful week, or go on a holiday, which can interrupt your routine flow quite a bit. Remember that you don't need to be perfect. What really matters is resilience. Your ability to get back on track after you have slipped. If you miss a workout or eat something you weren't supposed to, it's not the end of your progress unless you decide it is. The difference between people who reach their goals and those who don't isn't that the first group is perfect and never fails, it's that they recover quickly when they do. Think of it like slipping on the ice. You can either sit there feeling embarrassed and resentful, or you can laugh it off, get up, and keep walking. The quicker you stand up, the faster you will get to your destination. Here are a few ways to put that into practice. First, never miss twice. Skipping one workout happens, but skipping two makes it a pattern and is a start of a bad habit. Therefore, if you miss a day, make it your mission to get back on track the very next one. Second, focus on the long-term average, not daily perfection. Eating one piece of cake won't ruin your progress, just like eating one salad won't make you fit. Remember that what matters is what you do most of the time. Third, plan for slip-ups in advance. If you have a vacation coming up and you know there will be plenty of delicious foods you will want to try, adjust your expectations. You could go into a slightly bigger deficit the week before or balance it out by walking more and exploring during your trip. Then when you return, jump right back into your routine. It's always easier to get back on track when you have only adjusted your habits rather than abandoned them completely. Habits aren't built in a straight line. There will be dips and oops moments, but every time you bounce back, you prove to yourself you can handle challenges, and that's a very strong foundation, the kind of foundation I really want for you. And there you have it, all the strategies packed into one video. If you have any questions, feel free to write them in the comments, and if you would like to dive deeper into the topic, check out this video next.